Good morning. It's Mark from Top Local Lead Generation. We're here with Mr. Bernie Pawlik of 12-time winning Best Auto Repair in Vancouver, voted by their clients, Pawlik Automotive. How are you doing this morning, Bernie?
Excellent, excellent.
So we're going to talk about Dodge trucks, and I know your shop is becoming a bit famous for the work you do on Dodge diesels. That they have a big range of trucks and vans and etc. Light trucks, power Dodges.
They're good, but like every make and model of car and light truck, they've got their strengths and weaknesses. For this hangout, I'm gonna, any comparisons I make are gonna be between the American trucks, the Fords, the Chevys, GMs, and Dodges, and we're gonna start the discussion around the full-size pickup trucks.
So, what are the strengths of the full-size Dodge pickups?
Well, the strengths department, I have to say, their engines have always been good. And for as long as I can remember, and as long as I've been working on trucks, they've had great engines. The gas engines have been good. The 225 Slant 6 was kind of a gutless engine, but it was very hard to kill. Very legendary engine. The 318 V8 that was used for a long time was almost as reliable. The larger V8s are equally as good. The newer trucks are good, however, some of the engines are good, but some of them are a bit problematic, like the 3.7 liter and 4.7 liter V engines. They have an overhead cam engine. They do have a few more problems than some of the others. Valve seats fall out, and if you don't maintain them properly, there's timing chain problems to be had. So there are issues with those, and they're very expensive to fix. Diesels. This is where I think Dodges really have the edge. The Cummins diesel, legendary engine, superbly reliable. There's a few factors that I think make the Cummins a great engine. The Cummins diesel engine. It's basically found in industrial engines and trucks, and it's interesting when you look at an engine in a Cummins engine in a Kenworth or a huge mining truck or a Dodge pickup truck. The engines all look exactly the same except for their size. They just scaled them up and down. And to me, it's a winning combination. It's a well thought out design. It's meant to be fixed and repaired when it needs to be done, which is not very often. They're a lot simpler than the V8 offerings of the GM and the Ford by the virtue that they have two less cylinders and yet it's the same size engine. So there's a couple less things to go wrong. And when fuel injectors cost $400 each, having to replace two less injectors can save you an awful lot of money. If you're looking for a reliable diesel, I would absolutely recommend a Dodge. I think they're definitely the way to go. Much less problems than the others.
Okay, that's a pretty winning endorsement. But you also mentioned some weaknesses.
Yeah, there's definitely a few. I mean, one thing we noticed with a lot of modern Dodge trucks, steering linkages and ball joints wear out, tie rod ends. We've had many Dodge Ram 2500 and 3500 pickup trucks where all the front end parts are loose and worn out, and a lot of time, usually before 100,000 kilometers. So I think that's too soon. I mean, they really should last a lot longer than that. And the 1500 series also suffer some issues, the half-ton trucks. One thing I have to say about the drivetrains and suspensions in Dodge trucks built in the last 15 years, they seem a lot tougher. But in the past, I always got the impression that Dodge trucks weren't quite built as heavy as Fords and GMs. They just seem to be a little wimpier, if I can use that word.
So is that some of the other areas of weakness?
The other area that a lot of people say is the automatic transmissions in Dodge trucks are weak. And I say, apparently people say this because we've actually not really run into any, which doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Maybe just no one's brought one by our shop. But we do see a lot of Cummins Dodge diesel trucks with standard transmissions, a lot more than Chevy and Ford. And I'm not sure why, whether people they have a reputation for bad automatics, so people go with standards. But if you're looking for a standard-equipped Dodge truck, they seem to be much more available.
So speaking of transmissions, then we'll switch into Caravans. Then that's another, I guess, sort of Dodge truck. The Dodge Caravan is legendary for bad transmissions.
They certainly are, and we've seen an awful lot of them. And by the same token, I've seen people with Dodge Caravans that have had 200,000-300,000 kilometers and never had a transmission problem. So it does happen much more frequently in most of those vans, but they're not all guaranteed to have a transmission problem. But today I'm kind of talking more about work trucks, pickup trucks, the trucks that people use to haul their RV trailers. It's interesting, a lot of manufacturers, they call their vehicles trucks, and I don't know if I call a Caravan a truck. It's like a Honda Odyssey minivan as part of Honda's truck lineup, but it really, to me, is more like a big car than a truck. But definitely Caravans, they have their transmission problems for sure.
So what about Jeeps?
Well, I haven't touched on Jeeps. Jeeps are owned by Chrysler, and they do share a lot of similar drivetrain components to Dodge trucks. But there's a lot of issues in it, and we can do a separate hangout on Jeeps because there's lots of material to discuss with Jeeps. We do a lot of them, and we get a lot of good and bad things to say about them.
And Dodge vans?
Dodge vans are awesome. I mean, they've had for years, like between the 70s to the 90s, they had their Tradesman line of vans, which were very popular, and especially the Dodge Maxi van. It was the only big van offered. Like it was about 2 or 3 feet longer than a Ford or Chevy van, so they were quite popular. Good vans, but I rarely ever see one on the road anymore. They all seem to have moved on to the scrapyard. When Mercedes bought Chrysler, these vans were discontinued, and they offered the Sprinter. And I think these are, in my eyes, like a brilliant van. They're offered in various configurations, from smaller to large, quite large, tall, not extended height. They've got some with dual wheels, some with half tons, some are 3/4, 1 ton. So they come in a variety for whatever uses you want to make of them. And then most of them are equipped with a Mercedes diesel engine, and it's a good, reliable drivetrain. I mean, on the downside, because it's a Mercedes drivetrain and engine, the diagnostic and repair work is much more exclusive, so not every shop can do them. We can, by the way. We've got all the equipment to do them, but there's a lot of shops that can't, and we've bought a lot of extra equipment to be able to do so. Now, since the divorce, if we can say, between Mercedes and Chrysler, the Sprinters are no longer sold through Chrysler. So if you really set on a Sprinter, you have to buy a Mercedes Sprinter. But Dodge now has a line of vans, the ProMaster. Again, they come in a variety of sizes. There's gas and diesel options, and I can't really say much about them because I've never seen one in our shop because they're fairly new. But I know one day we will.
So any last thoughts about Dodge trucks?
I mean, overall, I think they're great trucks. I think the Cummins diesel, in my opinion, is the best offering from the big 3 American manufacturers for diesel trucks, which are, an incredibly popular market. The gas engine trucks are good. I haven't really talked much about Dakotas, Durangos, the sort of medium-sized trucks. These are reasonable trucks. We've seen some, once they get older, they do tend to have a lot of problems. Things wear out, like they do in all cars, but it seems like worse than others, perhaps. Kind of got lost here. Where am I going here? Oh yeah, I mean, the other thought about Dodge is they're typically cheaper than their Japanese counterparts, especially if you think about the Caravan, for instance. You can often buy a Caravan for $20,000, and yet they have a somewhat of a bad reputation for things wearing out. But if you take the equivalent like Toyota Sienna or Honda Odyssey, they can often be $10,000 to $15,000 more. So you sit down and do the math and figure out, hey, if I buy this Caravan for $20,000, am I going to spend an extra $10,000 on repairs over the next 10 years? And you might find that it's more worthwhile to just buy the Caravan instead of spending the extra money on the Toyota, unless you're really set on it. Those are the kind of things it's important to put down on paper and look at. And I know I'm kind of straying off the Dodge truck, but for any vehicle, if you have any questions about them or whether this is the right vehicle to buy, please call us, because I'm happy to love talking to people about these sort of things and helping make a proper decision. And that's my thoughts on Dodges.
Awesome. So thank you, Bernie. And again, folks, these are the guys to call if you're looking for maintenance for your vehicle. They specialize in getting your vehicle right and keeping it right for the long haul, saving you a ton of money. Give them a call at 604-327-7112 or go to their amazing website, pawlikautomotive.com. Thanks, Bernie.
Thanks, Mark. Talk again soon. Bye.